I never thought my life would take such a bizarre turn. It all started when my wife Sarah approached me with the idea of an open marriage. I was hesitant, but she insisted it would strengthen our relationship. She convinced me with her persistent charm, and reluctantly, I agreed. At first, it was all excitement for her. She enjoyed the freedom, and I tried to embrace the change. But things quickly got complicated. Sarah became more distant, spending nights out and coming home at odd hours. The worst part? Her mother, sister, and even her friends started flirting with me. It was awkward, to say the least. I brushed it off, thinking it was just a phase. Then everything came crashing down. Sarah got sick. At first, we thought it was just a flu, but then the diagnosis came HIV. I was devastated. She confessed that she had been reckless, not just with me, but with her other partners as well. Our open marriage experiment had turned into a nightmare. Her health deteriorated rapidly. I stayed by her side despite everything, but the resentment grew. She had brought this upon herself and us. Eventually, Sarah passed away. It was a heartbreaking end to a turbulent chapter of our lives. But that wasn't the end of my ordeal. Sarah's spirit lingered, filled with anger and regret. I started experiencing strange occurrences, objects moving, eerie noises, and terrifying nightmares. I knew it was her. She couldn't find peace and wanted to take her revenge on me. I sought help from a priest who performed an exorcism. The process was intense, with loud screams echoing through the house. Then, suddenly, it was over. The house fell silent, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The nightmares stopped, and I thought I could finally move on. I remarried, hoping to rebuild my life, but the scars ran deep. My new marriage couldn't withstand the strain of my past. We eventually broke up, and I found myself spiraling into a drinking binge. Alone and broken, I was left to pick up the pieces of a life shattered by a single decision. As I sit here sharing my story, I can't help but reflect on the irony of it all. Sarah's quest for freedom led to her demise and my ruin. And now, I'm left wondering if I'll ever find peace again. After Sarah's death and the exorcism, I tried to piece my life back together. Moving on wasn't easy, especially when Sarah's family and friends were still a part of my life. They all had their own opinions and judgments about what happened, and it wasn't long before rumors started swirling around town. One evening, I was at a local bar trying to drown my sorrows when Lisa, Sarah's sister, approached me. She looked concerned, but there was an underlying tension in her eyes. "Mark, can we talk?" she asked, sliding into the seat next to me. I sighed, not really in the mood for another confrontation. "What is it, Lisa?" She hesitated, then said, "There's been talk. People are saying you caused Sarah's death, that you pushed her into the open marriage and then neglected her when she got sick." I felt a surge of anger. "That is not true. She was the one who wanted the open marriage. I tried to be supportive, but she made her own choices." Lisa nodded slowly. "I know. But you need to set the record straight. People need to hear your side of the story." I was skeptical. And how am I supposed to do that? "Everyone's already made up their minds." "Maybe," she said softly, "but you owe it to yourself and to Sarah to try. You deserve a chance to heal, and so does her memory." I mulled over her words. Maybe she was right. Maybe sharing my side would help me find some closure. A few days later, I decided to write a letter to the local newspaper. In it, I recounted the events leading up to Sarah's death, our decision to open our marriage, and the tragic consequences that followed. I was honest about my feelings of guilt and regret, but I also made it clear that Sarah's choices were her own. The letter was published, and the reaction was mixed. Some people expressed sympathy and understanding, while others continued to blame me. But it didn't matter. For the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of release. Life slowly started to regain a semblance of normalcy. I returned to work, focused on rebuilding my career, and tried to find solace in routine. But the specter of Sarah's betrayal and her subsequent death still haunted me. Then, one evening, I received a call from Emily, one of Sarah's close friends. "Mark, I think we need to talk," she said. We met at a quiet cafe, and Emily wasted no time getting to the point. "There's something you need to know about Sarah." I braced myself. "What is it?" Before she passed, she confided in me. She was deeply sorry for everything that happened. She knew she had made a mistake, and she regretted pushing you into the open marriage. She was scared and didn't know how to fix it. Hearing this was like a punch to the gut. I had always wondered if Sarah truly understood the pain she caused. Now I knew. Emily continued. She wanted you to know that she loved you, despite everything. She just lost her way. I left the cafe feeling a strange mix of sorrow and relief. Knowing that Sarah had regretted her actions and still loved me brought a small measure of comfort, but it also reopened wounds I thought were beginning to heal. As I walked home, I realized that my journey to find peace was far from over. I still had a lot of healing to do, and perhaps I needed to face my demons head-on to truly move forward. Even with Emily S.'s revelation, the scars from Sarah S.'s betrayal and the chaos that ensued afterward lingered. I tried to bury myself in work, but every so often, memories would resurface, bringing with them waves of unresolved emotions. One night, as I sat in my empty house nursing a whiskey, I received an unexpected visit from Marie, Sarah S.'s mother. She had always been stern and a bit intimidating, but tonight her eyes were softer, filled with an unusual sadness. "Mark," she began, taking a seat across from me, "I need to talk to you about Sarah." I sighed, feeling the weight of the conversation before it even began. "What is it, Marie?" She took a deep breath. "I want to apologize for everything, for the way Sarah S. family has treated you since she died. We were all grieving and we needed someone to blame, but it's not your fault." Her words hit me hard. I had expected more accusations, more blame, not this. "Marie, I don't know what to say," I stammered. "Just listen," she said gently. "Sarah made her choices, and they were her own. You supported her as best as you could, even when it went against everything you believed in. You didn't deserve the way we treated you." I felt a lump in my throat as she spoke. For so long I had carried the burden of guilt and the weight of their judgment. Hearing her absolve me, even a little, was a relief I didn't know I needed. "Thank you, Marie," I whispered, tears threatening to spill over. She reached out, placing a hand on mine. "We all loved Sarah, but we need to move on. And so do you. She wouldn't want you to be stuck in this limbo." Marie left shortly after, leaving me with a lot to think about. I realized that forgiveness, both from Sarah S. family and from myself, was crucial for my healing. A few weeks later, I decided to take a break from everything. I booked a trip to the mountains, seeking solitude and a chance to reconnect with myself. The crisp air and serene landscapes offered a stark contrast to the turmoil that had dominated my life. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace in a cozy cabin, I received a text from Lisa. She wanted to check in and see how I was doing. We had grown closer since Sarah S.'s death, bonding over shared grief and the chaos that followed. "How are you holding up, Mark?" she asked. "I am getting there," I replied. "This trip is helping. I needed some time away." "I'm glad to hear that," she texted back. "You deserve some peace." As I sat there, staring at the flickering flames, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I was on the path to healing. However, peace was short-lived. One night, back in my cabin, I woke up to the sound of whispers. At first, I thought it was my mind playing tricks on me. But then, I saw her, Sarah S. Spirit, standing at the foot of my bed, her eyes filled with anger and sorrow. "Why didn't you save me?" she whispered, her voice echoing in the quiet room. I bolted upright, my heart pounding. "Sarah," I tried, "you made your choices." Her figure flickered, and I could feel the chill in the air. "You should have fought harder," she hissed. Terrified and confused, I watched as she slowly faded away. The encounter left me shaken, and I knew I couldn't keep running from the past. I had to confront it head on. The next morning, I called Emily. "I need your help," I said, my voice trembling. "Of course, Mark. What do you need?" she replied, concern evident in her tone. "I think Sarah's spirit is still here, and she is angry. I need to find a way to help her move on. And maybe, just maybe, I can find some peace too." Emily agreed to help me. She had always been a spiritual person, and if anyone could help me navigate this, it was her. We decided to contact a medium, someone who could communicate with Sarah and help her find peace. A few days later, Emily and I met with the medium, an older woman named Sylvia, in the living room of my cabin. The air was thick with anticipation as Sylvia set up candles and incense, preparing for the session. "Mark, I want you to remain calm," Sylvia instructed. "Sarah's spirit is restless, and we need to approach this with empathy and understanding." I nodded, feeling a mixture of anxiety and hope. Sylvia closed her eyes, taking deep breaths, and then began to speak softly, calling out to Sarah's spirit. The room grew colder, and the flames of the candles flickered. Suddenly the air seemed to thicken, and a faint whisper echoed through the room. Sarah's presence was palpable. "Sarah," Sylvia called out gently, "we are here to help you find peace. Please speak to us." A chill ran down my spine as Sarah's voice filled the room. "You betrayed me, Mark. You let me die alone." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Sarah, I tried to be there for you. You pushed me away. The choices you made, they led us to this." Sylvia's voice remained calm and steady. "Sarah, you must understand that Mark did everything he could. It's time to let go of the anger and move on." The candles flickered more violently, and then Sarah's voice softened. "I was scared, and I didn't know how to fix what I had broken. I never wanted things to end like this." Emily squeezed my hand, offering silent support. "Sarah, you need to forgive yourself and Mark. Holding on to this anger is only hurting both of you." There was a long silence, and then Sarah's presence began to fade. "I am sorry, Mark. I am sorry for everything." The room gradually returned to its normal temperature, and the candles burned steadily once more. Sylvia opened her eyes and smiled gently. "She is at peace now." She moved on. A profound sense of relief washed over me. For the first time in what felt like forever, the weight of guilt and anger began to lift. Emily and I stayed in touch after that night, growing closer as friends. She had been a rock for me during this tumultuous time, and I was grateful for her support. As weeks turned into months, I found myself reflecting on the past with a new perspective. Sarah's betrayal had broken me, but it had also taught me about resilience and forgiveness. I knew I couldn't change the past, but I could shape my future. One evening, as I was walking through the park near my home, I bumped into a familiar face. It was Lisa, Sarah's sister. She smiled when she saw me, and we decided to sit on a nearby bench to catch up. "How have you been, Mark?" Lisa asked, her voice gentle. "I am doing better," I replied. "The medium session with Sylvia helped a lot. Sarah's finally at peace." Lisa nodded, a look of relief crossing her face. "I'm glad to hear that. It has been a difficult time for all of us." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sunset. Then Lisa turned to me, her expression serious. "Mark, there is something I need to tell you. Before Sarah got sick, she confessed to me that she regretted the open marriage. She realized too late how much she hurt you and wanted to find a way to make things right." Hearing this brought a mix of emotions. It was comforting to know that Sarah had realized her mistakes, but it also reopened old wounds. "Thank you for telling me, Lisa," I said softly. "It means a lot." As we parted ways that evening, I felt a sense of closure that had eluded me for so long. The road to healing was still long, but I was finally on the right path. Even with the exorcism and Sylvia's help, the aftermath of Sarah's actions still weighed heavily on me. I spent days trying to figure out how to move forward. The loneliness was overwhelming, and my thoughts often drifted to the what-ifs and could-have-beens. One evening, I decided to go for a drive to clear my head. I found myself at the cemetery, standing before Sarah's grave. The cool breeze rustled the leaves, and the silence was both comforting and eerie. "Sarah," I whispered, "I hope we found peace. I am trying to find mine too." As I stood there, I felt a strange sense of calm. It was as if Sarah was finally at rest, and in a way, it gave me the strength to keep going. Back home, I decided it was time to make some changes. I redecorated the house, removing old memories that only served to remind me of the pain. I reached out to old friends, reconnecting with people I had lost touch with during the chaos of the past few years. One of those friends was James, my college buddy. We met up for coffee, and it was like no time had passed. He was supportive, listening without judgment as I recounted everything that had happened. "Mark, you've been through hell," he said, shaking his head. but you're still here. That counts for something." I nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude for having friends like James. He encouraged me to get out more, to start living my life again. Slowly but surely, I took his advice to heart. It wasn't easy. There were still nights when the memories haunted me, but with each passing day, I felt a little stronger. I started going to the gym, focusing on my physical and mental health. The routine helped, giving me a sense of control over my life. One day, while at the gym, I met a woman named Claire. She was kind, with a warm smile that immediately put me at ease. We struck up a conversation, and before long, we were meeting up regularly for workouts and coffee afterward. Claire was a breath of fresh air. She had her own baggage, her own past traumas, but she faced them with a resilience that inspired me. We bonded over our shared experiences, and a friendship quickly blossomed. As the months passed, our friendship deepened. Claire was there for me during my lows, and I was there for her during hers. We supported each other, finding comfort in the knowledge that we weren't alone in our struggles. One evening, as we sat on my porch, sipping wine and watching the sunset, Claire turned to me with a serious expression. "Mark, have you ever thought about what you want for your future?" she asked. I sighed, considering her question. Honestly, I haven't really thought that far ahead. I have been so focused on just getting through each day. Claire nodded, her gaze steady. "I understand. But you deserve to be happy, Mark. You deserve a future that is filled with love and joy." Her words resonated with me. For so long I had been stuck in the past, unable to see beyond the pain. But now, with Claire by my side, I realized that maybe, just maybe, I could start to envision a future for myself. As we sat there, watching the last rays of the sun dip below the horizon, I felt a flicker of hope. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like I could see a way forward. As my friendship with Claire deepened, I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't expected. She had a way of making me feel safe, understood, and valued. We spent more time together, exploring new hobbies, taking weekend trips, and just enjoying each other's company. One evening, Claire and I decided to take a hike up a nearby mountain. The fresh air and stunning views were a welcome escape from the routine of daily life. As we reached the summit, we sat down to catch our breath and take in the scenery. "Mark," Claire said softly, "I need to tell you something." I turned to her, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "What is it?" She took a deep breath, her eyes searching mine. "I have fallen in love with you." Her words hung in the air, and for a moment I was speechless. I hadn't allowed myself to consider the possibility of love again, not after everything that had happened. But looking at Claire, I realized that my feelings for her had grown deeper than I had admitted, even to myself. "Claire, I hesitated, trying to find the right words. "I think I've fallen in love with you too." Her face lit up with a smile, and she reached out to take my hand. "I know it's not going to be easy, but I believe we can build something beautiful together." I nodded, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. "I want that too, Claire." From that moment on, our relationship shifted. It was no longer just a friendship, but a budding romance filled with hope and possibility. We took things slowly, aware of the delicate nature of our emotions and past traumas. But step by step, we built a new life together. One evening, while we were cooking dinner at my place, Claire looked at me thoughtfully. "Mark, have you ever thought about sharing your story? I mean, publicly?" I frowned, not understanding. "What do you mean?" "Your experience with Sarah, the open marriage, her death, and everything that followed. I think it could help others who are going through similar situations," she explained. The idea made me uncomfortable at first. Sharing my most painful experiences with the world was a daunting prospect, but Claire's words stayed with me, and over the next few weeks, I began to see the potential value in sharing my story. With Claire's encouragement, I started writing. At first, it was just for myself, a way to process everything I had been through. But as the pages filled up, I realized that my story had the power to resonate with others. I decided to submit my story to a local magazine that focused on personal journeys and overcoming adversity. To my surprise, they were eager to publish it. When the issue came out, I was nervous about the reaction, but the response was overwhelmingly positive. Readers reached out to me, sharing their own stories of betrayal, loss, and healing. It was both humbling and empowering to know that my experiences were helping others navigate their own struggles. As my story gained traction, I was invited to speak at events and participate in podcasts. I found myself connecting with people in ways I never imagined, and it gave me a sense of purpose I had been missing. Claire stood by me through it all, her unwavering support a constant source of strength. Our relationship flourished as we navigated this new chapter of our lives together. One evening, after a particularly moving speaking engagement, Claire and I sat on the porch, reflecting on how far we had come. "Mark, I am so proud of you," she said, her eyes shining with admiration. "You've turned your pain into something positive, something that is helping so many people." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, Claire. You have been my rock." She leaned in, kissing me softly. "And you have been mine." As we sat there, wrapped in each other's arms, I realized that I had finally found peace. The road had been long and fraught with pain, but it had led me to a place of love and healing, and for that I was eternally grateful. Life with Claire became a sanctuary, a place where I could heal and grow. She brought a light into my life that I hadn't felt in years. We continued to explore our relationship, building on the trust and love we had for each other. One weekend, Claire suggested we take a trip to the beach. The idea of sun, sand, and sea sounded perfect, so we packed our bags and set off for a much-needed getaway. The beach was beautiful, and we spent our days lounging in the sun, swimming, and enjoying the peacefulness of the ocean. One evening, as we walked along the shoreline, Claire turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, have you ever thought about what your future looks like, where you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? I smiled, appreciating her curiosity. Honestly, I've been so focused on the present, on healing, that I haven't given it much thought. But I do know that I want you to be a part of it." She smiled back, squeezing my hand. "I want that too, and I think it is important for us to start thinking about our future together." Her words stayed with me as we continued our walk. The idea of building a future with Claire filled me with hope and excitement. For the first time in a long time, I could see a path forward, one that wasn't overshadowed by the past. When we returned home, I felt more determined than ever to embrace this new chapter of my life. I started making plans, setting goals for myself both personally and professionally. With Claire's support, I felt capable of achieving anything. One afternoon, while working in my home office, I received an unexpected email from an old friend, Jake. We hadn't spoken in years, and seeing his name in my inbox was a surprise. "Hey Mark," the email began. "I hope you're doing well. I came across your story in the magazine, and I just wanted to reach out. Your journey has been inspiring, and I am proud of you. Let us catch up soon." Jake's message brought a smile to my face. We had been close friends in college, but had drifted apart over the years. I replied, agreeing to meet up for coffee the following week. When we met, it was like no time had passed. We talked about old times, catching up on each other's lives. Jake was supportive and genuinely interested in hearing about my journey. "Mark, you've come a long way," he said, sipping his coffee. "I'm really impressed by how you've turned things around." "Thanks, Jake," I replied. "It has been a tough road, but having people like Claire in my life has made all the difference." He nodded, smiling. "She sounds amazing. I'm glad you found someone who makes you happy." Our conversation turned to future plans, and Jake mentioned that he was working on a new project and was looking for partners. He explained his idea and how he thought I could be a valuable addition to his team. The opportunity sounded exciting, and after discussing it with Claire, I decided to join Jake's project. It felt like the perfect next step in my journey, a chance to rebuild my career while working with a trusted friend. As I settled into my new role, I found a renewed sense of purpose. The work was challenging but rewarding, and I was grateful for the chance to contribute to something meaningful. Claire continued to be my biggest supporter, cheering me on every step of the way. Our relationship grew stronger, built on a foundation of trust, love, and mutual respect. We talked about moving in together, taking the next step in our relationship, and building a life together. One evening, as we sat on my porch watching the stars, Claire turned to me with a smile. "Mark, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Her words filled me with a warmth that I had never felt before. "I want that too, Claire. More than anything." We spent the rest of the night talking about our dreams and plans for the future. It was a beautiful moment, one that solidified our commitment to each other. As I looked into Claire's eyes, I knew that I had finally found my place. The past was behind me, and the future was filled with promise. With Claire by my side, I felt ready to face whatever came next. With my newfound sense of purpose and the unwavering support of Claire, life started to feel brighter. We decided to move in together, finding a cozy apartment that we could call our own. It was a fresh start, a place where we could build new memories and leave the past behind. Our relationship flourished in our new home. We spent evenings cooking together, exploring the city, and planning our future. The more time we spent together, the more I realized how deeply I loved her. She had become my anchor, the person who kept me grounded and hopeful. One evening, as we were unpacking boxes in our new apartment, Claire found an old photo album. We sat down on the living room floor, flipping through the pages and reminiscing about our lives before we met each other. "Mark, these pictures are amazing," Claire said, holding up a photo of me and my college friends. "You look so happy." I smiled, remembering the carefree days of college. Those were good times. I lost touch with a lot of those friends, but reconnecting with Jake has been great. Claire nodded, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Tell me more about your college days." We spent the next few hours sharing stories, laughing, and learning more about each other's pasts. It was a beautiful bonding experience, one that brought us even closer together. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself more settled into my new job with Jake's project. The work was fulfilling, and I enjoyed the sense of camaraderie that came with working alongside an old friend. One day, while we were having lunch, Jake turned to me with a serious expression. "Mark, I need to tell you something. It was about Sarah." My heart skipped a beat. "What is it, Jake?" He took a deep breath. "Before she got sick, Sarah reached out to me. She was scared and confused, and she didn't know how to fix things with you. She asked for my help, but I didn't know what to do." His words hit me hard. I had always wondered if Sarah had tried to make amends in her own way. Knowing that she had reached out to Jake made me feel a mix of emotions, sadness, regret, but also a strange sense of closure. "Thanks for telling me, Jake," I said quietly. "It helps to know that she was trying." Jake nodded, his expression somber. "I wish I could have done more to help her, but I'm glad you are finding your way now." As I processed this new information, I felt a renewed sense of determination to make the most of my second chance at happiness. Sarah's mistakes had cost us both dearly, but I was determined to honor her memory by living my life to the fullest. Claire and I continued to build our life together, finding joy in the simple moments and supporting each other through the challenges. We talked about our dreams and aspirations, and it became clear that we were on the same path, heading towards a future filled with love and possibility. One evening, as we sat on our balcony watching the sunset, Claire turned to me with a smile. "Mark, there's something I have been wanting to ask you." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What is it?" She took a deep breath, her eyes filled with love. "Will you marry me?" Her question took me by surprise, but in the best possible way. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized just how much I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. "Yes, Claire," I replied, my voice trembling with emotion. "I will marry you." We embraced, laughing and crying at the same time. It was a perfect moment, one that marked the beginning of a new chapter in our lives. As we started planning our wedding, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for everything that had led me to this point. The pain, the loss, the struggles, they had all shaped me into the person I was today. And with Claire by my side, I felt ready to face whatever the future held. The months leading up to our wedding were a whirlwind of activity. Claire and I immersed ourselves in planning every detail, from the venue to the guest list. It was an exciting time, filled with hope and anticipation for the future. One afternoon, as we were finalizing the arrangements, I received a call from my parents. They had been supportive throughout my ordeal, But we hadn't discussed much about my life with Claire. "Mark," my mother said, her voice filled with warmth, "your father and I would love to meet Claire's family. We want to celebrate this union properly." I smiled, appreciating their support. "Of course, Mom. We'll arrange a dinner soon." Claire was thrilled at the idea, and we set a date for both our families to meet. The dinner went smoothly, with lots of laughter and shared stories. Seeing our families come together in such a positive way was heartwarming. As the wedding day approached, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come. From the darkest moments of my life to this new chapter filled with love and promise, it felt like a miracle. Claire had brought joy and stability back into my life, and I was determined to make our wedding day as special as possible. The ceremony took place on a beautiful summer afternoon, surrounded by our closest friends and family. Claire looked stunning in her dress, her eyes shining with happiness as she walked down the aisle. As we exchanged vows, I felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. "I promise to love you, to support you, and to build a life with you filled with joy and adventure," Claire said, her voice steady and full of emotion. "And I promise to cherish you, to stand by you through thick and thin, and to create a future together that honors the love we share," I replied, my heart overflowing with love. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the joy in the air was palpable. We kissed, and our guests erupted in applause. It was a perfect moment, one that I would treasure forever. The reception was a lively celebration with music, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. Jake gave a particularly touching speech, reflecting on our journey and the strength of our friendship. "Mark, you've shown incredible resilience and grace through the toughest of times," he said, raising his glass. "And Claire, you've brought light and love back into his life. To both of you, may your future be as bright as your love." As the evening progressed, Claire and I found a quiet moment to ourselves. We stepped outside, standing under the stars, and I felt a profound sense of gratitude. "We did it," Claire said softly, resting her head on my shoulder. "Yes, we did," I replied, wrapping my arm around her, "and I couldn't be happier." Our honeymoon was a blissful escape to a tropical paradise. We spent our days exploring, relaxing on the beach, and reveling in each other's company. It was the perfect way to start our married life. When we returned home, we settled into our new routine as a married couple. Life was busy, but we made time for each other, ensuring that our love and connection remained strong. One evening, as we were having dinner, Claire brought up an important topic. "Mark, have you thought about starting a family?" I looked at her, considering her question. "I have, actually, and I would love nothing more than to have a family with you." Her face lit up with joy. "Me too. I think we were ready for this next step. We decided to start trying for a baby, and the anticipation brought a new sense of excitement to our lives. The thought of creating a family together was a dream come true. A few months later, Claire came to me with a wide smile on her face. "Mark, I am pregnant." Tears of joy filled my eyes as I hugged her tightly. "That is amazing news, Claire. We are going to be parents." The months that followed were filled with preparations for our new arrival. We decorated the nursery, attended prenatal classes, and eagerly awaited the birth of our child. When our baby girl was born, it was the most incredible moment of my life. Holding her in my arms, I felt an overwhelming surge of love and protectiveness. "Welcome to the world, little one," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "You are our miracle." Claire and I named her Emma, and she quickly became the center of our universe. Parenthood was challenging, but it brought us even closer together. We navigated the sleepless nights and the endless diaper changes, finding joy in every milestone Emma reached. As I watched Emma grow, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. My journey had been long and difficult, but it had led me to this beautiful life. I had found love, built a family, and discovered a sense of purpose that I had never imagined possible. With Claire by my side and Emma in my arms, I knew that the future was bright. Together, we faced each day with hope, love, and a determination to make the most of every moment. Life with Claire and our new baby girl Emma was everything I could have hoped for. The days were filled with laughter, love, and the sweet chaos that comes with raising a child. Claire and I navigated parenthood as a team, and our bond grew even stronger. As Emma reached her first birthday, we threw a small party with our closest friends and family. It was a joyful celebration, filled with smiles and the infectious giggles of our little girl. Watching Emma grow and thrive was the greatest reward, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the life we had built. One evening, after Emma had been put to bed, Claire and I sat on the porch, enjoying the quiet night. The stars were bright, and the air was cool, a perfect moment to reflect on our journey. "Mark," Claire said softly, her head resting on my shoulder, "I never imagined my life could be this beautiful." I kissed her forehead, feeling the same sense of wonder. Neither did I. "You've brought so much happiness into my life, Claire." She smiled, her eyes filled with love. "And you've brought it into mine. I can't wait to see what the future holds for us and for Emma." As we sat there wrapped in each other's arms, I felt a deep sense of contentment. Our pasts had been filled with pain and loss, but together, we had created something beautiful and enduring. One day, while I was at work, I received an unexpected call from Lisa, Sarah's sister. We had kept in touch sporadically, but it had been a while since we last spoke. "Mark," Lisa began, her voice hesitant, "I know this might be difficult to hear, but I thought you should know. There's been a development with Sarah's will." I frowned, surprised. "What kind of development?" Lisa explained that a previously unknown life insurance policy had surfaced, naming me as the beneficiary. The payout was substantial, and it had taken a while for the paperwork to be processed. "I know it is a lot to take in," Lisa said gently, "but I thought you deserved to know." The news left me reeling. I had long since moved on from the financial aspects of my life with Sarah, and this unexpected windfall brought back memories I had worked hard to put behind me. That evening I sat down with Claire to discuss the news. She listened patiently, her expression thoughtful. "Mark, this is a gift," she said softly. "It's a chance to do something meaningful with Sarah's legacy. We can use this money to secure Emma's future, to support causes we care about, or to create new opportunities for our family." Her words resonated with me. Instead of seeing the money as a painful reminder of the past, I began to view it as an opportunity to honor Sarah's memory in a positive way. Claire and I decided to set up a scholarship fund in Sarah's name, supporting students who had faced adversity and were working to rebuild their lives. It felt like the right way to pay tribute to the woman she had been before everything fell apart. As we moved forward with our plans, I felt a sense of closure. The scholarship fund became a symbol of hope and resilience, a way to turn tragedy into something positive. Life continued, and Claire and I focused on raising Emma and building our future together. The challenges we faced only strengthened our bond, and our love for each other grew deeper with each passing day. One evening, as we were putting Emma to bed, Claire turned to me with a smile. "Mark, I've been thinking. What do you say we try for another baby?" Her question filled me with joy. "I think that sounds like a wonderful idea, Claire." We embraced, excited for the next chapter in our journey. Parenthood had brought us so much happiness, and the thought of expanding our family felt like a natural next step. As we embarked on this new adventure, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. From the depths of despair to the heights of joy, our journey had been a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the unbreakable bonds of family. With Claire and Emma by my side, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. The future was bright, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms. Claire and I decided to expand our family, and the excitement of the future kept us hopeful and motivated. Months went by, and soon enough, Claire was pregnant with our second child. The anticipation of another baby brought new energy into our home. Emma was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a big sister. We spent our days preparing her for the arrival of the new baby, teaching her how to be gentle and kind. Claire and I were overjoyed, and the happiness in our household was palpable. As Claire's pregnancy progressed, I found myself reflecting on the journey we had been through. The past had been filled with pain and betrayal, but the present was filled with love and hope. I was determined to cherish every moment and to never take for granted the blessings in our lives. One evening, as Claire and I were putting Emma to bed, she turned to me with a tender smile. "Mark, I can't wait to meet our new baby. It feels like everything is falling into place." I nodded, feeling the same sense of completeness. "Me too, Claire. Our family is growing, and it is more than I could have ever hoped for." When our second child, a baby boy named Liam, was born, our hearts were overflowing with love. Holding him in my arms, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life we had built. Emma was an enthusiastic big sister, always eager to help and showering Liam with affection. Parenthood was demanding, but Claire and I worked as a team, supporting each other through sleepless nights and busy days. Our bond grew stronger, fortified by the love we had for our children and each other. One sunny afternoon, while we were at the park with Emma and Liam, I watched as Claire played with our children. The joy on their faces was a testament to the love and happiness that filled our lives. It was a beautiful reminder of how far we had come. As the years passed, our family continued to thrive. Emma and Liam grew up surrounded by love and support, and Claire and I remained dedicated to nurturing our relationship. We faced challenges together, always finding strength in our bond. One evening, as Claire and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey, she turned to me with a smile. "Mark, do you ever think about how far we've come?" I nodded, taking her hand in mine. "Every day, Claire, and I am grateful for every moment." She squeezed my hand, her eyes filled with love. "We've built a beautiful life together, and I couldn't be happier." I smiled, feeling the same sense of contentment. "Me too, Claire. Our journey has been incredible, and I wouldn't change a thing." As we sat there, watching the stars, I realized that our story was one of resilience, love, and hope. The pain of the past had shaped us, but it didn't define us. We had created a life filled with joy and purpose, and I was excited for the future. Claire and I continued to nurture our family, finding joy in the everyday moments and celebrating the milestones. Our love for each other remained strong, and our bond grew deeper with each passing year. Looking back, I knew that the journey had been difficult, but it had led me to a place of peace and fulfillment. With Claire by my side, I felt ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that our love and resilience would carry us through. The future was bright, and as we embraced the possibilities, I knew that our story was far from over. Together, we would continue to build a life filled with love, joy, and hope, cherishing every moment and looking forward to the adventures that lay ahead. And with that, we stepped into the future, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came our way, knowing that as long as we had each other, we could overcome anything.